can like pretty much sit here dangling my feet. No one sees it. Woo. Okay.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Mic check 1, 2. Excellent. And we are live. Welcome everybody. Day 2, Print 18 afternoon panel. Wrap it up. Unboxing the packaging market. Digital packaging is very. Make sure. Yep. Unboxing the packaging market with digital print, more specifically, because like 3 people are like, wait a second, I only make digital presses, so yes. Very topical. I was at Label Expo last week with my friends from HP, and even in the label space, packaging is infiltrating, which is, most of us think packaging and labels is together unless you talk to label or packaging printers, and then they look at you like you've lost your mind. They think it has nothing to do with each other, even though to us as consumers, here's a package with a label on it. How is it not related? Well, guess what? It is not related at all. They have different problems. They have different solutions that they need to offer, and the one thing that has to happen is at the end they have to somehow marry together, right? That's a fair assessment of it. So in the in regards to packaging, and I know we have some software companies here because you help businesses in other ways, but in regards to digital packaging, PrintIQ, how does your company help a print business grow? Oh, I'm sorry. You could just share the mics by taking them out if you don't mind.
Yeah, so with
If you could just take the mic out if you don't mind. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, I should have made this note off camera. Just Klaus, wave to everybody. That's the man with the people at home on YouTube and Facebook. We might want to look at them.
Okay. So the question was how.
The question was, how is PrintIQ helping digital packaging businesses grow, or people to create one?
Yeah. So with PrintIQ, we have a very unique workflow, and that's very important to us, especially in the digital market, because with the digital, and especially in packaging, in any digital really, I mean, the turnaround times are a lot shorter. So knowing where your job is every point of the way, estimating order entry, dispatch, that's what IQ wants to give you, that information. We always have customers calling up, want to know where their jobs is, so we give them that ability. The other thing is, with the runs getting shorter, and that's why most customers are going to digital, we need an MIS where we can estimate for a customer multiple quantities and have it estimate the best press or the best manufacturing route throughout the plant. So being able to have an estimating system like IQ that can estimate against digital and offset and give us that decision where the break point is very beneficial.
Thank you so much. Rolando, HP. How are you guys helping people start a business, digital packaging?
Okay, well, from a HP perspective, we focus on, I would say, about two main things. One is having 3 things. One is having one of the widest and full portfolio of end-to-end solutions. Okay, from the printing presses. We have presses for digital labels, presses for packaging, for flexible packaging, for folding carton, for corrugated. So as Deb was saying, not all packaging is made equal. You have labels, which could be considered packaging. For folding cartons, we have a series of products. We have the Indigo 30,000, which is a press dedicated to do folding cartons, specifically designed for that market. Then we have other products that can do packaging, and we have also inkjet solutions to do corrugated packaging as well. So that's and then we have a complete ecosystem with partners that provide coating solutions and so forth. Then we also have the workflow part, because what's the use of having all those machines very productive if you can't feed them with the right jobs, with the right workflow, the right prioritization? So we have a cloud-based system that we call PrintOS. Allows you to manage thousands, millions of jobs at a time, create websites, so you can manage web to print and manage production. So we have a complete workflow solution from the scalable RIP to a cloud-based solution to manage all those jobs that are coming in. This is something that also helps customers grow, because a lot of times one of the challenges not only is building the infrastructure, is building your sales structure to go after those jobs, then how do you manage those jobs efficiently without building a huge IT infrastructure? So we focus a lot with our technology background in HP to help build that and help the back office of the printers manage that complexity. Then the other thing is really the expertise, our partnerships, and the expertise we bring to the table. Business development. We help customers navigate. We've seen we have a large number of Indigo 30,000s that are going into converters, and they ask the question, what am I going to do with this machine now, or how can I grow this machine? Packaging is a huge market. It's much bigger than labels. We're talking about in the U.S. $100 billion market in just digital, in just packaging. Digital is probably less than 1% of that, and there's a huge opportunity. How do you get that? What type of products can you do? And also how to talk. We also work and help converters, packaging companies, how to talk to the brands about digital. What are the benefits of digital? Okay, you reduce supply chain costs. That's huge for a brand. Okay, you reduce your inventory, turnaround times. We have a company that's doing digital flexible packaging that is completely disrupting the flexible packaging industry. Companies like ePack, they just went fully digital. They are bringing to market products that used to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Now they can offer 3-5 days. So they're completely transforming the industry of flexible packaging from a prototype or even a production in a couple of days. That's the beauty of digital. Now you don't have to do these huge runs. You just print what you need and reduce inventory. That's also huge for, so we help customers print, talk, what's the talk track, help the sales rep with our business development. So thanks to a lot of the expertise that we have in-house that we build over the years.
Thank you so much. Xeikon, welcome. Xeikonis in the house.
Thank you, thank you. So I think if you're looking at digital packaging and you're looking at this industry, because we just came from Label Expo this past week, so and it was a tremendous show for us, and showed a lot of different technology and applications, but there is a tremendous amount of interest in other things outside of labels. And for commercial printers, we've actually worked with quite a few commercial printers that decided to get into digital label production. That was probably unheard of maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago, because it was such a craft, and the technology, the conventional technologies make that very difficult to get into that business. Well, digital allows them to get into it a little easier today and become more competitive and have another branch of business that they can go after, which is extremely more profitable than the business that they're doing today. So at Xeikon, we definitely get into folding cartons, especially when it comes to food-related applications, because of our dry toner technology being FDA compliant. That's very important when you're getting into packaging type applications, those types of requirements at the end of the day. And also you'll see coming from Xeikon here that we have gotten into the pouch market also at this point in time. So it's exciting for us, exciting place to be, and as you heard here from HP, it's probably one of the fastest growing businesses right now, or pieces of the printing industry out there.
Thanks so much. Kevin, Chili Publish.
Yeah, we help in the digital packaging. We help you heard it. I mean, it's a lot about shorter runs, quicker time to market. So you need to produce a lot more assets to actually go to production, and that's where we help. We basically connect brands to the supply chain or to the production chain by enabling smart artwork. What does smart artwork mean? That could either be automating your label production, actually the PDFs that need to be and go to the press, or think about applications where local markets can basically self-service them. For example, creating a custom-sized box with a custom die, automatically changing the parameters there, and then automatically producing all the production files that I would require. And then the third topic is that because of digital, the marketeers have understood that. So the need for brands to change their branding and basically compete on the packaging side has increased vastly. A few years ago, you could stick with a packaging for the rest of the year. Now you got to update it every 2 months because your competitors are doing the same because they have the technology. So all of a sudden, it's like the time to market keeps increasing. So it's very interesting, and there you need technology, and that's what we do with Smart Artwork. We connect brand owners to the supply chain.
I mean, that's such a fantastic point. Every time I walk into Starbucks, it's all new packaging in there. Every single time. Eric Holdo.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Eric. I missed you. I haven't seen you at all today.
I know, right? Exactly. I've been a little busy today. It's been a great show. Anyway, so at Konica Minolta, we there's an entire ecosystem of software solutions, but I'm gonna highlight a couple of those and a couple of new presses. From our UV inkjet press, our 23 by 29 cut sheet press, which has achieved FDA certification for indirect food contact. So that was a big milestone for us. Our new label presses, we have a corrugated a corrugated packaging press, which is sort of an entry model. So for printers that want to enter into the corrugated marketplace, but maybe don't have the very high demand that it might require, so it lets you ease into the market. Our MGI products allow us to do embellishment, textured UV, embossed foil on the packaging directly to give more shelf shout, whether it's packaging or label.
Shelf shout.
Shelf shout, that's
Hashtag
right.
shelf shout is happening.
That's it. And just like when you look at wine bottles on the rack, I guarantee your eyes are drawn to the ones that have foil on it.
Always.
So we're able to provide that as well. Most recently, though, in that regard, and it's in the label side, but I'm going to say it anyway, is shrink sleeve, where we've now been able to apply foil to shrink sleeve, which is totally new, and a flexible packaging into materials that traditionally, if you embossed for foil, it would eventually sort of all flake off because the deboss would break down. So anyway, those are sort of the main areas, and then we have a product, a software solution that allows us to do online proofing so that I can show somebody how their box is going to fold up, how it's going to unfold, where the logos are. It even handles, if I'm going to lay down, let's say, a UV coating on it, it handles throttling down the UV at those lines where you're going to be folding or where you're going to be cutting. So these are things that save you time and effort, especially if you're newer to the industry. I mean, some of the workflows from large providers in the space that are already well established and great software. This is some of the stuff, though, that we like to do to bring people into this part of the business.
And it's a great place that you stopped there because, and this came up in the wide format panel as well, that it's one thing to teach a printer to work a press and create an application. It's another thing to help them understand the business opportunities in it as well. If they're not used to, these are the things they estimate, these are the things they don't know how much toner they need, what are the substrates that will work or not. So we'll start with you, Eric. How is Konica helping the printers to create a packaging service, and what are some of the software education resources that you have available?
That's a great question. So a lot of that sits with our marketing as a service offerings. So the Konica Minolta marketing services consists of a platform for multi-channel marketing and things like that, but it also expands into complete creative services for clients. So we actually use those services and use social media and use mailings and help somebody entering into a new part of the business, whether they've got a new embellishment press or they're getting into packaging or whatever it might be. We're going to help them into that by creating a professionally created campaign, multi-touch campaign over time. You know, one mail drop does not a campaign make, so we're talking about repeated effort to let people in their particular target market understand what the advantages are. We help them with ROI modeling so that they understand what can I sell this for in the marketplace, given that sometimes they're going to be selling new opportunities, new areas that didn't exist before. So you've got to help them figure out what that ROI looks like, and so that we don't start commoditizing the market right out the gate.
Right. That's a great point.
That's I would say that those marketing services really help a lot of that. We also have a complete set of tools that we provide them, everything from some reading materials, webinars, and other materials that go into our welcome kit with them.
I'm going to stick with the manufacturers, then I'll get back to the software company. Xeikon, how are you helping customers develop a packaging service that they can be profitable and sustainable?
So yeah, I think a couple of things there, and it's very important because it's one thing to say that you can print it. It's another thing to say that you can do the rest of the things that are required to get that product to the end user at the end of the day. So there's a lot going on, and at Xeikon what we do is really make sure before we really go to market is that we fully understand the application, the costing that's involved with that. We do TCO tools, we do the how-tos, and we also do what we call suites, like we would have a folding carton suite, to really make sure that you're directed to the sweet spot of that market too, that makes sense doing it on this particular technology at the end of the day, and know where the crossover points are too, where it makes sense for you to continue doing it versus this doesn't make sense anymore, should go on a different type of technology at the end of the day.
Thank you so much. HP, how are you helping customers develop a packaging service and understand how to make money and keep it sustainable?
You know, Deb, that's a great question. That's because sometimes customers come with a plan and say, okay, I want to buy this machine. Buying a machine or getting an asset like that is not a plan. It's not a business plan. So how do you build that? So that's why in a lot of our systems we built in what we call the business transformation solution, which is a suite of different services, support, consulting. So we have built over the years a lot of expertise in our team. So we include in this business transformation solution a business development consultation. So we have business development support where we train. We train the sales organization of the customer on how to sell the solutions. We also, as part of this, we bring our financial consultants and help the estimating group how to estimate jobs, how to build a TCO, what's the best practices that we've built over the years to help them build that costing structure. So we do a lot of training as part of this to the customer and to the customers as well. In our facilities in Alpharetta, in Atlanta, we also work with converters and customers to bring their brands in to see all the things that can be done under one roof. Some things then we hear a lot of times customers come in and they feel a lot of inspiration when they see all the things that can be done. We also have a very important community that we call D-Scoop, which is the Digital Solutions Cooperative. It's a corporation. Cooperative.
No problem.
Thank you.
No problemo.
Yes. So it's a users group that it's built over the years as a very large, tight community. So there's as part of them, there's education sessions, community, and there's a lot of customers that exchange best practices, conferences. So there's a lot of learning also that comes from peers in the industry, and this is an industry that I found that is not as closed, that they actually share a lot best practices, and as they grow together, because it's a really untapped market. Okay, and the more they all bring that awareness of the digital services, everybody wins. So there's a lot of cooperation, and we try to bring them together through this users group.
Thank you so much. Okay, now to the software. PrintIQ, I know that you guys are involved in helping people with ordering and estimation and more than an MIS. How do you fit into the digital packaging space?
How do I fit in the digital packaging space? Thinking about that one. So the digital packaging space for us, I mean, we've attended Label Expo last week. So we come out with a label workflow with PrintIQ. We also support pretty much any other digital print as well.
I mean, well, that's it. If you're helping them get the orders in and the orders out, and helping them create the estimates and the automation and the shipping labels. I can go on and on. I know a lot about your stuff.
So typically when we help our customers out, we use a consulting approach. So we'll go in there and understand their facility, their products, what they produce, what their workflow is today, how they're, what we can do to improve. So with IQ, we have a really nice workflow from beginning to end. It has communication throughout. So having that communication and being able to advise customers when to make simplified session estimates versus a complex session so that they can make it easier for turnaround times, whatnot, we can do all of that. So it's mainly just listening to the customer. Everybody's a little bit different in how they do things and how they produce it. But in the end, we're all producing the same thing. It's just a printed product that we're delivering to our customer.
Thank you so much. Kevin from Chile, I'm sure you can have an interesting perspective on this.
So in digital packaging, we see two main use cases. So either we help typically brand owners or agencies to build a platform to completely automate their good-to-print PDF production process. So typically what they're going to do these days is they're not manually creating these PDFs anymore. They're not doing that in Illustrator. If they still are, they should talk to us. But what they do is they try to templatize everything, and they drive the data from a database into a template, which is typically in our system, and then automatically produces a good-to-print PDF. It's the way to go, because what you get is that you have the different stakeholders. They're going to approve the content that goes on the packaging or label. They're going to do that pre-production, so they're not going to do that during, and we're not going to send proofs around, and we're not going to approve those PDFs. I mean, that's all a waste of time. Let's just approve it very early in the stage. So that's one really big use case that we see, and automating and helping the efficiency there. The second use case is enabling self-service. Enabling self-service in the packaging space, which for a lot of people is complex. Even a designer who's not used to creating artwork for packaging, they will suffer. They will download an Illustrator file, and they get this template, and all of a sudden they have to understand why something is upside down and where the crease line is and all those things. So again, what we do is a lot of our customers, they build an application with our tool to basically guide them, and they allow a less professional user, whoever that is, to create those packaging files, typically online in a web-to-pack platform or web-to-print platform, whatever you want to call it.
Thanks. Eric, did you want to add something? Then I'll ask the next question.
Yeah, from one of the key people to deal with is the brand owners, the designers, but the brand owners across the board. If I'm doing packaging and I've got a color of red that is my logo color, and I need it to look identical no matter where it's produced. I need to know that things are all conforming to my standards, so I'm not having to necessarily go do press checks at every facility that's out there. So one of the ways we enable this is with a cloud-based color management solution that allows not only our devices that automatically will scan with the Spectro inline and update the cloud and give the status of the printer, but any device that can produce a target that can then be scanned in can be part of this, so that I can look historically over time at an immediate moment in time at multiple facilities, even multiple companies across the web. I can see the condition of every one of those printers. So if I'm a very color sensitive brand owner, and I can see all of the production facilities, whether it's the same company or multiple companies, and I know everyone's dialed into the same standards, they're all passing, that gives me some benefit as well.
Thanks so much. The gentleman sitting in the front row with the antennas, his name, we call him Jamie the Printer. Jamie the Printer is here with Team Printiverse, and he sits here for 3 days, and he listens to the panels, and he helps me keep you people honest, because I'm not a printer. I don't know if your saying is actually what manifests in real life. Also, Jamie knows all of the topics, and he has been collecting questions from his peers, from his operators, from people in his print shop and in the print chat community to ask questions during these panels. In many ways, the questions that Jamie asks or the questions that I pick up from the print chatters are the most important, because they're the regular people who might be rolling up on your booth or calling into your salespeople. So with that being said, Jamie, do you have a question about digital packaging? Fantastic.
Yes. Hello, everybody. We do a lot of prototype packaging. Well, companies will come to us. We have the digital equipment. We can do other things. We'll do a dozen, 2 dozen, under 100. How do we take that with your products and help us go further with that, rather than we're just the first stop and then they go to somebody else? How can we tell them we can help them take it further? We can do the prototype. We can do that. And if your equipment specifically can help us do that, not trying to form the question, but there's got to be a way to take it, further than what we do.
So it depends on whether you're producing a commodity in short runs for that. I mean, if you're doing 10, 50, 100 of a package, let's say, for prototype purposes, if there's nothing in that package that's going to uniquely tie back to you, security features perhaps, variable holograms for security, for authentication, printed RFID perhaps for identification, all sorts of different features that you may incorporate as part of that prototyping process, where when it comes time for them to create it, it's harder to find. That's not a commoditized part of the market as much as I'm printing a package, and yeah, I can print 100, and that guy over there can print them quicker and cheaper ultimately when I run 100,000. So it's really, of course you have to have the equipment to be able to handle the production run, but being able to provide on-demand shorter quantities may also be of interest. Is there anything regulatory in nature on the packaging that might change frequently, so that I don't have pallets and pallets of flat boxes sitting there that I have to throw away because something changed? So I think it's just a matter of it's a case-by-case basis, and ultimately knowing the difference between if what you're producing anyone can produce, anyone probably will produce it.
HP? Yeah?
Yes, well, that's exactly one of the beauties of digital, right? That you can produce from 1 to 100, 150 with basically the same cost of 1 to 100. So that's when a press, for example, like the Indigo 30,000, you can actually have pre-mixed colors, so you can do a prototype, or you have a wide gamut, 7 colors, so that way you can prototype very easily and achieve up to 85% of the Pantone palette, and that allows you to make a very simple, quick prototype from 1 to any type of volume. So that's the beauty of digital.
Yeah, that's what we're finding. It's just taking that next step. It's how do we make that jump?
Are you talking like a bigger quantity jump?
Yeah, I guess something like that. Yeah.
What are the most
we'll do many
quantities?
different ones.
Okay, so that's a valid question. Like, where are the sweet spots of quantities on the digital presses? Maybe that's what you were asking. Because if you're prototyping for somebody who wants 30,000, maybe you should pass that along to somebody else, unless you want to be in the prototyping business, is what I think I hear you're saying.
Yeah.
Are there sweet spots? I know manufacturers don't like to lock yourselves into it, but listen, this is a printer asking you.
Well, it depends on the type of application. It depends on the substrate. Crossover points vary a lot. You could be talking about 5,000 sheets, 3,000 sheets, depending on how many products you can put on a sheet. In our case, our biggest sheet is 29 by 20 on the Indigo side. We also have corrugated presses that are much larger, but in some cases we can see between 2,000, 3,000 might be the the crossover point where then it makes sense to go and do it on an offset.
Cool. Anybody else want to tackle that, and then we'll wrap it up before the Konica party. There's a Konica party.
I'll chime in before you wrap up.
Yes, please. No, yeah. Everyone could chime in.
If I were to put my sales consultant cap on, I would have come back to you and said, "What's your pain point? Why are you not doing it today?" So I can understand, what you're suffering today. But I think at the end of the day, it does come down to that. It comes down to, if you're doing a lot of SKUs, I mean, the quantity could be 10,000 at the end of the day, and you've got 30 SKUs in that job, or if they're really small packaging, or if it's small folding cartons, whatever the case may be, that goes up. So, like you're saying, with different technologies, our press is 20 inches wide, but it goes by any length. We can go on forever. So it all depends. You got to really get down to the analysis, I think, and that's really the key, is getting down to the analysis part of it.
It seems like the people that we've been dealing with, it takes a long time for them to make the final decision. Like we'll do a couple different prototypes, and then it just sits for a while, and then they'll decide.
Well, and there's a lot of considerations that when that prototype's being created, it's being created for a whole lot of reasons, including market acceptance and everything else. So it's a little bit hard to link between when that's going to happen and when it's actually going to fire off. I asked this question of a packaging printer one day, and I said, "What do you think would be reasonable for digital?" He says, "I think if I can run it in a day, in a single shift, it's worth running on digital." Which I thought was interesting, because it included sort of the pre-press and functions that he would have to go through putting it on press, and that made sense to me. So I don't know if that's the magic number, but it was someone who has been in the industry for 35 years, so I believe him.
That sounds like a good spot. Okay.
We're actually out of time, but I want to ask one more question, because I'm a little obsessed with this, and it's a crazy Deborah question, and maybe not everyone will want to answer it or can. But why is the digital packaging segment of the print industry so afraid of the cannabis business? For God's sakes, there has never been more packaging needs, shiny, beautiful packaging needs, printing needs. I spoke to somebody, and I also read an article from somebody who owned one of these medical marijuana dispensaries, and he said that what separates me from being a drug dealer is my $12 business card. There has never been a bigger opportunity in my mind, and yet I don't hear any manufacturer standing in front of it and saying, we need to help these people. Eric?
We actually are. We've been very involved in it. My marketing team isn't here, so I can say this.
Wait, Eric, you're on camera.
I know. They'll never watch it. Don't worry.
Thanks a lot.
We're actually killing it in that part of the market, and it's a legal business. I mean, the people we're dealing with are agency of record all the way through package designers and whatnot, and they deal with all the regulations on a state-by-state basis. And actually, we're starting to enable them with additional technologies like augmented reality, interacting with the packaging if you're in the state that it's legal to use that particular product in. So you tie it into geolocation and things like that. There's a lot in this marketplace. We did participate about a year ago in the vape show.
Oh, thanks for taking me with you, Eric.
Sorry about that. The vape show, as far as I know, we were the only printer manufacturer there. And we had people lined up, and we actually sold several of our label presses as a result.
They need help. They are literally, the cannabis businesses are begging us for help, and we won't help them.
Well, we're helping them.
Well,
we're helping them.
HP's
absolutely.
helping them too? Oh,
Yeah,
Rolando, we should talk later.
Yeah, well, we can put them in contact with. We have a lot of customers doing a lot of business in the cannabis market. Okay, we might not agree with some of it. Some people might agree, but in the states that are legal, we have a lot of customers and buying a lot of our machines, a lot of presses, doing especially flexible packaging, which is not so much a carton, but flexible packaging.
For the edibles. Allegedly.
They're short runs. They have to be creative. So it's we've had actually business development sessions talking
Yeah.
about the size of the market. It's expected to be much bigger than the cheese market. It's
Yeah.
huge. Expected to be bigger than the craft market, the craft beer market, right? So it's exploding. It's a big business opportunity, and we feel that our customers are enabled. We are helping them enable to go after and pursue that opportunity as any other opportunity.
There is, I should say, there is one little bit of a caveat to all this, which is how people get paid and how they have credit. The distributors aren't allowed to put their money into FDIC-insured banks, so it literally sits in barrels, and they store cash. It's crazy. There's one fellow I know that takes an armored car every single day to go pay their taxes, and delivers it to pay the taxes. That's how messed up this is. And as a result, what happens is they pay their packaging company, that commercial printer, with cash.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it starts to get a little sticky to get that cash to show up on that balance sheet
Yeah, but
properly.
I was watching this thing on Bloomberg News, and it said that they can open an account with a printer and pay a printer with a credit card. It's just that they have to pay the credit card off with cash.
Well, that's the problem.
Right.
So most of them are actually getting paid in cash, and
Right.
that's a problem, and just from a
Okay.
credit approval perspective.
So
of
if
things.
you're in a state where this is all legal, HP and Konica, call those find somebody with that equipment. They're friendly about it, and soon we're going to see cannabis samples in your booths, right?
And bring the Cheetos with you.
Bring the Cheetos, yes. Thank you guys for indulging my question. I really do appreciate it. I know it's a sensitive subject for some people, but it is the reality that this is Las Vegas, when they made Las Vegas recreational, they ran out of marijuana in like 20 minutes. And everyone was so surprised, except for the people who smoke pot. They were like, what were you thinking? Of course. So anyhow, thank you guys so much. We're going to roll right into a Konica Minolta event, the new value in print. It's catered with coffee and some afternoon snacks. Everybody hang out. Thank you, panel, so much. All the information about the panelists is in this program, websites, blurbs, email, booths, that kind of stuff. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.